I'm cold steel stainless, my glass half full. Always said don't suffer no fools. Serpents daydream, I bite, you call me lovely. Got a sweet tooth, I'm gonna get the sugar from you. When they say I'm a machine gun, I take it as a compliment.
I wish we stayed the same. I got way too many thoughts in my brain, but I got memories that run through my veins. I'm not one to blame, but I could point out every way that you changed. Some things stay up while others go right down the drain. And lately we've been going down in flames. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm
Whatever you do, don't blink, because we've got potentially the last map of this series on deck as Purdue stomping a mud hole in UH Horizon, and UH Horizon have one final chance to turn the tide.
Yeah, one final opportunity here for Houston to find some sort of momentum, because if we thought map 1 was a little iffy, map 2 was rough. Like, that was just the Boilermakers the entire way. We were talking about it, I think, the time in between maps 1 and 2 was longer than map 2 itself.
Yeah.
And that's when you know a map was just not exactly the game plan you were thinking of if you're Houston. But no, again, it's their map pick once again. You would think maybe wanting the dive, but maybe banning the hazard out of fear this time. Or even, because you can't ban the Tracer again.
Yeah.
And you can't ban Cass. So, unless you want to ban Soj and just force CVG into more Tracer, as it will be watch point. We were map earlier, but yeah, you gotta wonder what the ban's gonna be here, because there's not many answers left.
And I mean, like, it kind of echoes a little bit. Maybe it might be overhyping this particular matchup, but it kind of echoes back, right, to the World Finals, DreamHack Stockholm, where you had, Crazy Raccoon versus Team Falcons, and Crazy Raccoon were just getting diffed in the meta and really needed to go to Watchpoint Gibraltar in order to get themselves their one token map win. And after that, there was not really a whole lot that they can do. It was like a now or never sort of situation. That's kind of the hole that UH Horizon are in right now.
Yeah.
And again, going back to that Yap sesh, we can't ban Tracer again. UH Horizon don't have that option, so they're gonna have to deal with it. They're gonna have to deal with pushing the cart, Tracer versus Tracer against CVG, and that is a fool's errand.
That is not something I'd wish upon my worst enemy. Like, that's gonna be a very high order here for Houston. Well, just to try and match the Tracer in any sort of way for CVG, but like I said, CVG is gonna be the one on point. And in this map, if you just like, oh, we can let the Tracer go for a bit, next thing you know, carts are running around the corner, everybody's got to drop, and mistakes are going to be made. It's just so messy.
And if CVG's not on the cart, worse, he's in your backline. And like, those are two places you don't want him to be in either situation, whether you're on attack or defense. So, you got to like put a bell on him, keep good track of him, figure out where he's at, and make sure you can hear him coming at least, like
try and put
give
like
him
an Apple
something.
tag in his shirt or something. Be like, hey, we gotta know where you are, because we would like to not get messed up anymore, please. It's just been, as much as like we're hyping up CVG. Obviously, everyone on Purdue's been playing fantastic, but it's obviously you see CVG, they're in the kill feed every single fight, and it's hard not to point that out because we haven't seen this kind of solo performance, I'd say, in quite a long time, because it doesn't happen as much in 5v5 anymore.
Yeah, it's rare when you actually get like a solo performance, kind of like you can't really call it like a carry performance, but it is still CVG putting on a show on the Sojourn, on the Tracer, and looking to do it again on the Tracer. And Purdue Varsity coming out here with an interesting flavor of dive. I believe that is attack response, so they might not stick with this, but if they do, on a Lifeweaver backline, Hazard is banned by Purdue. Interesting. They chose to be the ones to ban the Hazard.
And Horizon is the one that banned Brig. Are we... Prod, are we... Is this 1,000% the order this went in?
I mean, you're trying to ban out, heroes that can really put a wrench into the equation for the Wrecking Ball. Like, I kind of see the vision there, but
it was flipped. Okay. That makes way more sense. Because I'm like, there's no way that Houston banned Brig, considering how much this man has been a menace in this game. The junk is going to help keep away ABC, as Bill has re-entered the game for Keg. But just like that, Bill's life could also be taken away.
Alistair with a big sleep dart, like what do you do? You're fast asleep, a monkey's about to pounce on you, and you get hit with the nade as well. Good night. ABC does get dispatched though, so Purdue Varsity's progress is going to be a little bit slower than intended, but CVG, right where we expect him to be, alongside his old compadre Tuttle, gonna get some car progress.
You love how Tuttle's like, I know it's usually you, CVG, that is on the cart, but considering how you're playing today, like, I got it. I'll take one for the team. And don't worry about it at all. As Hope all of a sudden has a whole lot of friends up top, but there is a trade.
Yeah, a whole lot of friends and also a whole lot of enemies. Bill not able to get to safety, and really, is there any safe place when CVG has you in his sights? The answer, my friend, is no, and that is something that Alfred's about to find out the hard way. It's CVG in the kill feed, but a lot of damage also off the dash coming through from Tuttle there. Stelball gonna come back in for a contest. Anti-nade's gonna be big from Hope, but an even bigger one coming out on the other side. Gonna have the Suzu for the cleanse, and Bill gonna be able to take down Tuttle. Full spot from CVG goes a little bit wide, though. UH Horizon might be able to get their foot in the door, but nope. CVG slams that door right back in their face, and this should be the cap if they can get these last couple of kills. Another sleep dart onto Stelbel. Alpha gonna get cleaned up there, and all Stelbel can do is roll around in a circle and pray.
Yeah, and even then, she's like, I should probably try and play my life, and CVG won't even allow that to happen. It'll be over 4.5 minutes going into the second phase, and they get the staggers. Coolant did not switch spawns, so that's another stagger kill here for Purdue Varsity. And yeah, the train just keeps a trucking and already complete control over on ship.
Yeah, and it makes it so difficult for the backliners to be able to stage for anything resembling a dive here. Big nade coming out, good Suzu as well. ABC goes in, gets hit with a nade of his own, but he's got the primal rage, so should be able to weather the storm here. CVG still raining hellfire on this backline with 2 back-to-back melee kills and a third for Alfred. It's disgusting, it's grotesque, it's ugly, but you just can't look away. Stelbel will finally put him to rest, albeit a temporary one. And this cart, its stint in the hangar phase, also going to be very temporary.
And all of a sudden you have to worry about ABC or Tuttle. Nano is online. Oh, that's sleep just a bit outside. But now you got to worry about the Nano going into the back, even though the mines for now is delaying that card.
Alfred going to take down Alistair, though. That's going to delay it even further. Alfred getting all the heals from the Kiriko. The Ofuda's coming through clutch, and ABC not going to be able to confirm that kill. Stelbel, with the aid of the minefields and a little bit of grappling hook action, has wrestled control away from Purdue for the time being.
At least they can stabilize for a second, which honestly Horizon haven't been able to do since this map started. So that's at least one benefit. And they have, a bunch of ultimates, Kitsune Rush, Nano, they can throw onto somebody. The bullet shots can kind of just keep away. It's not going to be a game-deciding ultimate here, but Nano already on to ABC, and here's the tired answer.
Coolant on a sliver of HP. Bill gets his revenge on CVG. Explosive ordnance being lobbed in both directions, but a gorilla being lobbed in another direction, able to find the kill onto Hope as Alistair trades that out for Coolant. It's a checkerboard in the kill feed going back and forth. Alistair kind of popping off in the back line there for Purdue. ABC gonna get felled though by Stelbel again, and a nice sleep dart as Alistair's reign of terror from the back line continues, but you're gonna need a lot more damage to burst through that hamster ball, and Hope gonna clean that one up, and Horizon still holding on.
Yeah, holding on for now. I'll say this Life Weaver may be getting a little bit tricky here for Purdue. Astro's having a little bit of an issue finding good positions in this fight. Haven't been able to pull anybody out of bad spots either. I respect Bill for that Riptire. I won't lie. I have the utmost respect. Like, if you're going to pulse me during my ult, I'm just going to ult you back.
Alistair goes for the sleep dart there. Not going to find it, and Bill is in a very interesting position. We'll see if he's able to find anything with the damage there, but CVG's position is the power position right now. Goes in off the back of the dive. Clean up a little bit of cleanup damage alongside ABC and Tuttle, and a nice Goomba stomp onto Coolant as well. And Stelbel once again spinning to try and hold on, but it looks like this cart should be going the distance and making it on through to point C. And if you're UH Horizon, you're running out of ground to give here.
Yeah, and at least everybody from Horizon this time around is able to swap spawns and get back over towards the end of the map. But you gotta think, like, Tuttle hasn't even used Blade yet. ABC has Primal. There's still a lot of resources at hand here for Purdue, and Tuttle already starting us off with a nice little dash.
Stelbel able to force out the recall, though, so CVG, down the key tool that every tracer needs, and Alfred, good shot there onto Tuttle, so UH Horizon at least have their feet underneath them right now, but ABC with the Primal Rage in the spawn is just going to paint the wall with Hope and Coolant. Oh, all right, well, their feet may have been swiftly kicked out from under them as quickly as I tried to say they had something going.
Yeah, they had something going until, what a nade, I will say, from Alistair into the back, hits both supports, and that just ruins everything that Horizon had planned. But CVG is down.
Oh, what a life grip. Saving the bullet shot, though. But yeah, like you said, CVG is down. Tuttle going to try and make up for lost life and limb with the 1,000-folded Damascus Steel, the Dragon Blade cutting out, carving through bone, but it's looking a little bit blunt, actually, as UH Horizon are able to kite most of the damage. Coolant, though, catches a stray kunai to the dome. Not going to be able to recover from that one very easily, and with Stelbel off the point, you need to try and get UH Horizon, or sorry, you need to get Purdue Varsity off of it, but as CVG comes back and cleans up too, the Riptire is going to be a little late.
Yeah, more of a kind of a representation of how that map's going so far for Horizon more than anything else. Purdue, considering, you know, this is watch point, and I think most teams are even happy just to cap this map at this point. 150 on the time bank is incredible here for Purdue. I wonder if we could hit tab production. I'm very curious how many kills is CVG at already. I'd say
18 and 3 with
ABC leading the way, I'd see, with 22. All right.
Yeah, well, okay, well, like, it's, you know, you're getting the Tesla damage, you know, it's not, you know, not to take anything away from ABC, because, you know, also 6k damage overall for a Winston ain't nothing to sneeze at, but, you know, it's CVG for the most part in the kill feed, getting most of those final blows, and also a fair bit coming out from Tuttle as well on the Genji. Like, it's a pretty classic dive comp coming out from Purdue, and you can't really argue with the results, you know, like you were saying. A minute 50 in the time bank, that's like an eternity in Watchpoint Gibraltar years, which I believe are roughly equivalent to dog years.
Yeah, no, I'd say that's a 1-for-1. I'd say that's a 1-for-1 reference. Watchpoint is just so hard a lot of times, especially end of first phase and end of second phase. It's brutal to get through. Alfredorg maybe trying to look for something early here. It almost takes their own head off in the process.
Slam from Stelbel, and Alfred's still looking for potentially another opportunity at the shop. And now that everyone knows where Alfred is, they're not going to be willing to poke their head out for it. Never mind. Astronaut didn't get the memo. No ping went out to save his life, and that's going to be a good headshot coming out. And CVG can't quite confirm the kill onto Bill, but nevertheless, Alistor is there, and Purdue, even though they lose their Life Weaver, they're still coming out ahead in this fight.
Yeah, like the spawns are going to be a little bit far away now, but you know, this would be rough. Because as long as Alistor lives, Purdue will be fine.
I don't know what you mean by the spawns are far away. ABC could spit right now when he hit the spawn.
But this will be, yeah, for Horizon.
Can I just eat my peanut butter, please?
Yeah, right. Like God, man, I just want some peanut butter. Been working so hard during this map, but Alistor does eventually get killed right as Astronaut comes back. But Horizon need to capitalize. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, with ABC down, now Stelbel can finally get what she wants out of this fight. Bill going to take down CVG as well, and a big pile driver coming out. The healing is there to keep Tuttle alive, but I mean, they're still going to have to give ground, but this is only UH Horizon just now getting the cart rolling.
Yeah, it's not like it's been rolling this entire time, whether it be, you know, from Bill or Alfredorg, because, hey, they don't really have that flank DPS to really just chill on a cart that has an easy escape. Nobody really has it. So I think they have Bill on it right now, and ABC doesn't really care. They're like, we're just going to go for 1, maybe 2 in the back.
Hope with a good sleep dart to be able to stay alive there, but needs to find a health pack ASAP. Oh, right. Pulse Bomb onto Stelbel is going to stop the cart in its track, and ABC will get what he came for. Does find Hope, and even though CVG gets traded out and this cart is still inching forward slowly, with only Alfred alive, it's not going to be moving for much longer. There we go, especially now with ABC back in the fray. That's going to be a red light, my friend.
Yeah, as Bill is just sit back trying to make something happen, and I respect it. At this point, you might as well try something a little bit unique. And now both TPS here for Purdue are like, yo, bro, you need to relax. Like, let's get out of the back line. Thank you.
Yeah, Bill does understand that, you know, the key to winning this map is that you need to take control of hangar phase, but typically that's supposed to come after you've capped point A.
Yeah, a little bit later.
Yeah, the rest of his team is still kind of struggling to accomplish that goal right now, and Purdue Varsity have a lot of ults online that can really slow the pace down as well. Stelbel's looking for an opportunity to drop these mines somewhere, but opportunities are not presenting themselves right now. Nano Boost going to come out onto ABC, and that's going to push Hope back into a corner. Bill is going to be able to take down Alistor, and is also going to pop the Rip Tire as well. This should be the start of something for UH Horizon. They lose Stelbel in the process, but trading out a tank for a tank, you will take that. This should be enough to get the cart the rest of the way through, but Coolant needs a lifeline, is not going to find it, is only going to find a flatline courtesy of CVG. Back up to his old tricks. A little bit more damage coming out, trying to confirm onto Alfred. Recall forced out. Elsewhere, Tuttle is able to take down Bill, and CVG going to take the reset. Oh, good parting shot there from Alfred.
Yeah, nice little party shot. Nano actually goes on to Stelbel very early, and nobody is there for the pile drive. The Nano really doesn't get a whole lot done. Even though the bullet shot, they just chug it onto ABC when they're in Primal. I respect it.
That's a survival bowler shot. That's please get away from me.
Yeah,
I can't handle this
leave me
anger.
alone.
My backliners are both at 1 HP. I can't really deal with this right now. We're gonna have the Tree of Life now coming out from Astronaut, gonna help keep ABC alive in the fight. Bullet wants to respond with the Kitsune Rush. I want to try and burst this down with some big damage. Bill is gonna do just that. Bursts Alistair down. Now we got CVG again trying to be the hero. Gets rid of Bill, the menace in the backline. Cooling gonna be next on the chopping block, and with the Dragon Blade chopping, great deflect from Tuttle. Again, that's just disgusting. Absolutely sickening performance coming out from Purdue. And it doesn't look like this card is going anywhere anytime soon. And this will be where UH Horizons 1-0 streak and their time on Watchpoint Gibraltar both come to a screeching halt.
Yeah, what a performance for Purdue varsity. They not even just like a normal, hey, it was a sweep, but every map was close. No, that was a defiant sweep here from the Boilermakers. What a way to start out. 2-0 now on the season here for Purdue. And have yet to drop a map after 2 games. A 3-0 against St. Ambrose, and now a 3-0 against Houston Horizon, who now drop to 1-0. But yeah, just what a performance there from Purdue. I think easily now the front runner here in West Central B for Division 3, because that didn't even look fair at times with how well they were playing.
I mean, not just how well they were playing, but like how well coached they appear to be. You know,
Yeah.
you have these pop-off performances coming out from the front line. It's also being set up by ABC on whatever tank he's playing. He's going to be a menace on whether it's the Hazard, the Winston, the Zarya. He's well practiced on all of that. The backline is also getting in there. And of course, we can't hype up CVG enough for some of these Tracer performances, the Sojourn rail shots. And then, you know, Tuttle as well, getting in there with a just sickening sleep deflect off the Dragon Blade. What more is there to say about this team? They're only a few more 3-0s away from making this their division, and realistically, who is going to stop them if they keep this pace up?
Yeah, that's the big question, especially everybody in this group has to be asking now is, who's going to do it? Because it was not Houston, and it was not St. Ambrose. Somebody has to do it within the next few weeks, because that was just utter domination here from Purdue varsity. And a lot of notes, obviously, for Houston going into this, with them being the team they are, right? They want to play these Wrecking Ball comps. You may just have nights like this to where if a team knows how to counter really well, you're kind of just stuck in, like, we have to force it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Tonight really felt like one of those for Houston. And we'll see maybe if they can find some other pivots later on in the season if these two teams do play once again in playoffs.
Yeah, like you said, they have the strategy, they have this play style. It's what they've most likely been practicing. I gotta say, they might actually be one of the teams that could have been hurt by the Wu Yang ban as well, because
True,
you know, Wrecking
yeah.
Ball is another one of those heroes that Wu Yang really enables in ways that we haven't seen before. So, you know, we go back to Esperanza and you Wu Yang's banned and you ban Kiriko. Suddenly, how do you sustain a Wrecking Ball? You know, how do you play anything that you've been practicing for the past several weeks? So I'm also kind of content to write this as a one-off. I'll throw them that bone and say maybe when they get their boy back, they can, you know, they can get back up to their old tricks and maybe find themselves a little bit more comfortable. But you can't talk about comfort without talking about how comfortable of a win that was for Purdue under these circumstances. They look stellar right now.
Yeah, no, that was insane. Like you said, I'm curious once Wu Yang is back into the action, maybe Houston look a little bit better, because like you said, we've seen it a lot in OWCS Korea and Pacific, right? Like those Wu Yang ball comps are ridiculously good. So we'll put out the good vibes for Houston later in the season. I would love to see them once again, maybe finding their rhythm again, but tonight just was not their night. It was all Purdue's.
Well, yeah, like you said, tonight is Purdue's night, and it might be one other team's night, as this is not the only game that we are going to be delivering straight to your doorstep. No, we have got another, but first, we're going to have to take a break while that game gets set up. So we will see you on the other side of this break, chat. Don't go anywhere. Grab yourself a nice Wenzel's meat stick and another tall glass of OJ. Refill while you're there, and we'll see you on the other side of this break.
At least my therapist is saying that I should. I don't believe it, but I really wish I could. Instead, I guess I'll stay misunderstood. Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down. I don't know if I want to. I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in the fun. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in the fun. But if I'm But if I'm Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out of try but can't seem to slow down. And I don't know if I want to. 'Cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out of try but can't seem to slow down. And I don't know if I want to.
All I seek to find is a world that's mine. Need a place to hide. Will you free my mind? Following the light of a world that's blind. In your eyes I see there's a place for me. All I seek to find is a world that's mine. Need a place to hide. Will you free my mind? Follow the light of a world that's blind. In your eyes I see there's a place for me. There's a place
to you.
used to view you as a mountain that I couldn't climb at first. But I've only stumbled over diamonds, and I no longer fear the worst.
Frozen over like I am. Well, I know you know that like it's colder, colder when I'm older, older than I am. And I know you know that I have lost composure, but I'll hold you closer while I can. I never told you that I'm slightly broken, that I might lose focus when I am. I know you know that life gets colder, colder when you're frozen over like I am. Breaking up all this static running through my blood. Again, why do you waste your light on me? Out of luck, can I keep my head above this time? Again, feeling the ground collapse on me. Blown around in a storm that only brings me down. Again, why does it feel so hard to breathe? Why does it feel so hard to breathe? So hard to breathe. Never found, but these voices bring me to my knees.
Welcome back from the break, gamers. I'm still CB. That is still Twin Salty right over there. And fear not, because it is still time for NECC Overwatch to take center stage.
Yeah, another great matchup for you tonight. But then we're going up one division. We're going up to Division 2 for our final game. We got Minnesota State Mankato going up against Texas A&M White. Two teams, again, 1-0 to start the season, but one of those undefeated runs got to end.
It feels a little bit like disingenuous to call a 1-0 run undefeated. Technically undefeated. I ain't lost yet, but give it a couple hours and one of these two teams will definitely have at least one loss under the belt. The other will continue their undefeated streak, and much like we saw with Purdue in the previous series, look to stake their claim over the entire division.
Yeah, I do think these are two teams that, especially in this group for Division 2, could easily be like, hey, we are the best team, depending on what this result is. Texas A&M White, they haven't had the greatest start. It was a little bit of a shaky game one. They had to go all the way to map 5 against Missouri State. Minnesota State Mankato, they lost one map, so neither of these teams have been quote-unquote perfect so far, but they've been good enough to get the job done.
Like Chapel Roan, they're going to have to get the job done one more time, at least today, and then keep that momentum going on throughout the rest of the season. It's still early. There's still time to correct course if you decide that something is wrong. So I think for both of these teams, it'll be a good opportunity to get a good litmus test, feel how good you actually are, see if you can keep this momentum going, or if you do need to make those adjustments so that you can maybe reassess and meet up later on in the season. But nevertheless, you ain't going to have that time today. You got to put up or shut up this time around and put your best foot forward.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eye on here for A&M White because last year they were in Division 1, but they did lose some players, whether it be to graduation. I believe one or two got pulled up to the main team. So this is kind of a fresh start here in Division 2 for a lot of these players and trying to prove themselves, whether they were subs last semester or brand new to this team. It's kind of wide open on the expectations for this roster. And then Minnesota State, they've kind of been around for a long time, but now they can really truly jump into Division 2. Like, they've got some pretty decent results behind their belts already in other competitions, and they're really looking to stake their claim here in Division 2.
So if I had to put money down, and I'm asking you for advice, which of these two teams do you think I should be putting it all on? You thinking Minnesota State, or
I'm thinking the Mavericks. I'm thinking Minnesota State, maybe like 60-40 right now. I think A&M White, I want to see them grow and build that early lead. Obviously, they won in map 5 last week against Missouri State. But obviously, with it being definitely a newer roster, there's going to be a lot of growing pains. This Minnesota State roster's been together a little bit longer. But I want to see, especially in this first map, how they all shape up.
60-40, though, I don't hate that, especially when, again, for those of you who might have missed the first series, we are in a little bit of an odd game state right now where NECC has completely banned out Wu Yang for the time being, as there is a bug with him, so he is not playable. But he's also been kind of hard meta at the pro level, and we know that pro metas tend to trickle down. So more than likely, a lot of these teams, especially in Division 1 and Division 2, will have been scrimming with a lot of Wu Yang, and then suddenly you can't play him. So you're going to have to try and work around your strategies. So maybe mercifully, I'll finally be free of the Wrecking Ball prison that seems to curse me every time I take up a mic for Overwatch these days. Or maybe not. Maybe, one of these two teams still likes to bring Hammond forward.
Well, I know A&M White last semester, they were a Doom one-trick team for a very long time with Sunless Fiber. But Fiber has since moved on to the main team. So I don't think we're going to see that as much tonight unless, maybe somebody has studied in the wings of Fiber here on the B team. But
Doomfist isn't harder to cast mechanically, but ethically he's harder to cast.
It's a little shady.
Yeah, I feel a little bit like I gotta compromise a part of myself in order to gas up a Doomfist player. Like I'm selling my soul to the devil for that one. But we are selling our souls to Lijiang Tower because it owns us, it consumes us. It is the first map for pretty much every map you are going to see. It's not a staple. It's actually the home team's pick, which I believe was Texas A&M. Gonna take us to Lijiang Tower for our control map.
Yeah, I swear it's the new King's Row, because as much as we've seen King's Row still picked time and time again, we've seen Lijiang basically become the #1 control map. I'd say Ilios and Nepal are probably 2 and 3. Nobody plays Antarctic. I think that's kind of been pushed away into the Darklands. But I think for honestly for both teams, I want to see what the bans are. I guess I'm not sure which team said they tried to ban Wu Yang first and then realized at the screenshot we got set. He's
Been a real
already
hero.
put away for now. So maybe these teams have a little bit of work to do on the fly on what they want to change up.
Yeah, well, regardless of whatever it is that they want to change up, I'm kind of in agreement with you that this is kind of like the new King's Row, but I've also kind of historically argued that it is King's Row for control.
Yeah.
It's popular, I think, for the same reasons that King's Row is, and that is it's versatile. You can play quite literally any sort of composition on it. Obviously, your mind will immediately go towards like the brawl comps, like especially on Kings and here on Control Center, but when you go to Gardens, when you go to Night Market, it gets a little bit more wide open. That's where Wrecking Ball can start to rear his ugly head. That's where dive comps can start to thrive. You know, you see a lot of like Devo, Winston compositions on Gardens, but if you're good at the brawl, you can still play it there. So any of these maps where if you are good at a comp, you can play it are what people are going to naturally kind of gravitate to, unless they're one of these teams that have like some wild out of left field set strat.
Yeah, and even like Symmetra, it's one of the few maps still that Symmetra is excellent on. Not as much on Gardens. I'd say it's more Night Market and Control Center to get those early TPs, set up turrets, especially on Night Market. Even though we've seen Sim kind of, it's more, I don't know, I think it's just maybe like an EMEA, like Mina thing.
Should be like in and out of the meta, like
yeah, we see it a lot in OWCS EMEA, but I don't know. I think it's just the Saudi teams most of the time that run it, which to each their own. I think the Sim is a little cringe, but
well, like metas trickle down, and like the Saudi teams are kind of on top in that
true.
region, so everyone else is going to be trying to follow suit because hey, if you want to beat the guy above you, you got to do what he's doing but better, or you have to find something new. You can't find something new. Like you can't beat him, join him. So all right, whatever. Maybe Yubi had a point all these years, you know?
Yeah, right. But you know, I have a feeling if we're going to see it in this series, it'll be during this first map. I believe we're still waiting on some of the bans to come in from A&M and Minnesota State, but you know, this is going to be a really good test because obviously both teams. It's not like we both 3-0'd and it was nice, easy peasy like it was for Purdue earlier tonight. They've both been pushed at least a little bit. They've both lost maps already during this season. So I wonder if whoever loses map 1 and or map 2, can they find that same punchback like they did last week to finish it and bring it back today?
I mean, yeah, I'm also kind of expecting a little bit more parity because as you start to kind of climb up in the divisions, you're going to start to see things be a little bit more evenly matched. You know, there's kind of this weird state like we saw where Purdue just kind of feel like they're a step ahead of their contemporaries, and that just kind of happens. But in like Division 2 and up, it should very much so be. Everybody here can take maps off of each other on any given day. If the time is right, if the map is right, if the moon's full, we can make it happen. And today is going to be that day. And even still, like you say, they're both kind of like on the rise. They're both kind of making adjustments. They're both kind of coming into their own, and they both have a history of being not dominant, but very competent in the past.
Oh yeah, like they each have a history of doing well. My one thing with A&M White, and the reason why I'm picking Minnesota State, during homecoming yesterday, they were upset by William and Mary in a 2-0 sweep, which granted, those are best of threes. I have a little bit of beef with best of threes. I feel like sometimes you really can't, you know, see the growth during a series in that quick of one. But it definitely created some question marks for me around this team. And as I said earlier about like the Doom maybe not coming out, I think I maybe should have held that one in. Because right now Aim Gods is locking in the Doom Fist for A&M Whites. We may end up seeing more of that Doom after all.
Well, there goes a portion of my soul. And I guess it also kind of makes sense because another one of the tanks that we talked about being very strong in the current sandbox of the game has been Zarya. So Texas A&M going to waste no time taking her off the field with an early ban there. Tracer ban on the other side. And if you don't have the top dog in the yard, you know, you can just send in the Doomfist. He can be the top dog. And in some of these close enclosures, you can get a lot of good damage punching some people up against the walls. But as I say that, Minnesota State going to identify that threat and play a little bit further back, give themselves a little bit of room. Double Craze kind of left on an island here, all back by himself, trying to get a good flank, but the Torb turret's going to keep him in check, at least for the time being. At the very least, point out his position. Rest of Texas A&M rotating alongside him, but Minnesota State are in position to get the early cap on the point. Aim God looking for the opportunity to try and slam on in and put a stop to it, and won't come in time, and early cap gonna come out.
Yeah, early cap going the way of Minnesota State, but now the fight finally starts, and got a little bit of a mix-up going over here on servers, but like you said, that Torp turret providing a lot of issues here to Texas A&M White, as Minnesota State for now will hold, but again, this is a very messy fight.
Yeah, it's like the Torp turret is just doing such a good job of keeping Double Craze in check, and it's also putting out some of that spam damage onto I'm That Guy. So, I mean, Minnesota State have kind of got Texas A&M on lock, at least for the time being, but his Aim God's going to be prepped to go in with another big slam here. Big slam onto a mini pack, not exactly the slam I was hoping for. There we go. That's what we were looking for. Yeah, the long distance punch onto Ying, just elite a backliner for free. Shades of the old DPS Doomfist. But speaking of DPS, Foost and Invictus gonna get themselves involved and take down a man each. We'll get traded out again, so 2 for 2. But longer this fight takes, the more it's going to favor the Mavericks. But flashbang coming out onto Invictus, and this should be Minnesota State finally dispatched.
Yeah, they still got to deal with a little bit here as the Torb just trying to hold on for their life right now, but yeah, it'll be for naught. It'll be just over 60%. Finally, A&M White able to bring it on forward. But now Minnesota State, I think this composition with the Orisa, as long as you can hit the jabs, whether it be on Double Craze or Aim Gods, it's going to disrupt a lot of the set plays that Texas A&M are trying to pull off, and it could make a little bit of an issue here for the Aggies.
What's interesting too is Texas A&M, like, they don't opt to try and hold the choke. They just let Minnesota State walk up onto the point for free. In fact, they're going to run. They're going to hit the Kitsune Rush. It'll be mirrored on both sides, but the Molten Core is going to make the floor a little bit too hot to step. Double Craze going to get taken down there with a shot from Invictus, but you've lost wind, and Boost has to try and trade that out. Both tanks now down, and Minnesota State once again in the driver's seat here. I'm That Guy going to fall with that sound barrier, so not going to be able to bail Texas A&M out of this fight, and Minnesota State will find the flip.
As much as Torb is far from meta right now at the top tier play, it's a great answer to what A&M White are trying to run. It's keeping Aim Gods in check. Victory is really having to be very particular about some of these off angles, and Double Craze forced to swap again, this time over to the Echo.
Not sure about the Echo swap, but I mean, if Reaper wasn't working, we'll find another thing. Good Suzu, just to try and keep everybody alive. But now with a Meteor Strike coming out, Topaz ain't gonna be around to see that Meteor land, and Wind will be joining him as well. And it's just a bloodbath right now. Minnesota State just fall over as Texas A&M come in fast, set the tempo, and get the dub.
Yeah, using that beat, just very aggressively trying to punch their way through, and they still have the Deadeye to go for this next fight, but for Minnesota State, you have your own aggro beat. You can either set that up, or if Wind wants to go in early with this Terra Surge and then use the beat to try and heal them back up, but you may not even need it.
Yeah, you've already found 2 swift kills. Double Craze taken down there by Foos. Victory holding on to this Deadeye, but with the sound barrier... Oh! I was going to say no one was going to show themselves, but Wind was more than happy to show face, and in fact, shove a spear directly into Victories. We're seeing Aim Gods trying to go for a touch there, but a boop from Topaz is going to mean that Doomfist ain't getting the touch anytime soon, and just a token Terra Surge to lock the backline down in is Minnesota State will take the first submap.
Yeah, first round going over to the Mavericks, and they've had a great answer to this Doom comp so far. And you look at the stats, and on paper, A&M White's actually got more eliminations, but it's because Minnesota State have played their fights very specifically. They continued to keep the range, and they want to force Aim God to Double Craze. If you want to get into the backline, you have to completely commit to it and be out of line of sight for your supports, because that means the crunch is a lot easier for the Mavericks to pull off. The other side of that coin is, especially as we go into Night Market, it's Boop City. One of these punches could easily be the end of a fight here from Aim Gods.
Yeah, don't look down if you're a DPS, especially right now, or if you're a horse for that matter. Also, if you look down right now, you will see Invictus' body lying prone as Victory has managed to find the first frag for Texas A&M in this fight. Now he's also going to be pressuring Wind back. Good Suzu to try and keep a reset alive, but with Topaz on low HP and everybody on the back foot, Minnesota State shouldn't be able to hold on here. Wind's actually able to take down Aim Gods, but despite the trades coming through, a nice flash coming out, Foos getting hit with that focusing beam, and Texas A&M will get first cap here.
And as much as we were a little bit cautious about this Echo pick early on, it has worked to start off, and it's actually going to force Invictus off of the Soj and onto the more traditional hit scan that is Cassidy, and also Foost going over to the Sombra. Again, probably more of a counter to Aim Gods, right? You can load on the hack when they go in, kind of delay the exits. But I think it's also just, again, these viruses trying to hack these health packs make it even harder for the upkeep.
Yeah, but the problem is you're not going to have as much frontline damage, so Wind is not going to be able to sustain the frontline all by himself, and Vickery is going to take him down, and Minnesota State not actually really able to get a whole lot of this Sombra pick, at least initially, but I do kind of like where your head's at, because you have the double CC now from the front line. But yeah, Fusta just going to make the swap over. Yeah, it's gone. You had it, it's gone.
Yeah, and now they're just going to try and set up a TP on the point and catch Tamu White off guard, as, yeah, Foost, it's not just a short-term thing. There we go, TP on over, and the jab will go through, instant flip.
And that's such a smart way to deal with this Doomfist composition, because you're waiting for the slam to come out. You know, you're waiting for Texas A&M to take the fight where they want to. That's the whole point of playing the Doomfist composition, but you just say, no, actually, we'd like the fight to be over here, as a matter of fact. Kitsune Rush and a Deadeye, and Vic are going to take down Invictus. Great shots now coming out, and as quickly as Minnesota State took the point, they might be losing it. Vic are going to get traded out, but that's the only kill that you're going to be seeing for Minnesota State anytime soon, is a little bit of stray sticky shots. Going to take down Wind, and the flip goes right back over.
So this Echo has really worked, actually, and I was like you, I was like, I'm not so sure about it, but the focusing beam is really forced the Wind to be very passive, because even though, yes, the jab spin, it denies all those projectiles coming at you, it does not deny the beam.
Ooh, I don't know if there was a boop there that just denied the denied the TP from coming out properly. We're gonna get 2 kills coming out off the back of it right away. Vickery gonna take down Ying. Minnesota State, sure, they do find the flip, but it's only going to be token percentage. It's gonna be peanuts in comparison to what Texas A&M are producing. 82%, they are in one fight territory, so that like 4% maybe might have made a pretty big difference for Minnesota State.
Yeah, Aimgod's is looking for it again, just to see like, hey, are you guys trying to TP again? Because if so, I'm just gonna punch you right back down to the rest of the team, waiting for it, ended up being bait.
all right, fool me once, shame on you. You know, the Deadeye now coming out from Invictus, gonna take down I'm That Guy, but so look around, the rest of his team is gone. Duplicated Terror Surge gonna come out, big damage from Double Craze, gonna clean up Ying, and Texas A&M should be winning this one outright. And yeah, Wind not gonna have a whole lot to say about it. 100-26, and we are 1-1, all tied up on Lijiang Tower.
Gardens will be the decider now, as yeah, that Doomfist Cup, once we get out of the super enclosed control center, looking a lot better, CB, as Minnesota State.
It's like the chains are off.
Yeah,
right?
the chains are gone. It's like I can run free, can do whatever I want. 17 eliminations for them. 27-4 for victory so far. At almost 9k damage. Absolutely unreal for the Tamu White hit scam. But now if you're Minnesota State, like, what is the answer? Do I see that correctly for Wind? Is that who I think that is? Okay, it was Hog for a moment. And Roadhog is, I would say, meta and ranked. I would say an organized play, but that would have been a choice.
I mean, it wouldn't have been a terrible choice. Yeah, well, it wouldn't have been horrible. I do still kind of think, you know, if you're sticking to the classics, Orisa is still the better Doomfist counter, but you know, you're going to have to try and play the positioning here. It's really the only way that you're going to be able to beat this composition. And I like the positioning early on from Minnesota State right now, trying to lock down all the real estate and prevent the follow-up coming through. Spear coming out to take down Vickery. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, and that should be Minnesota State getting first cat. And Texas A&M going to happily take their retreat for now and concede the first cap.
Yeah, they're not going to try and be greedy and force a 4v5, especially once Vickery gets killed by the jab. They can just kind of settle back, wait for their hit scan to come back, considering how much of an impact player they have been so far. But you look at Wind already, 65% to a Terra Surge. Aim Gods has really had no opportunity so far with the spacing that Minnesota State has had to get anything done.
Yeah, you can see how far back Minnesota State are playing. Like, they know
Super
that
passive.
AimGod is going to go in. Yeah, he's going to go in and try and close the distance. That's exactly what they want him to do. Use your cooldowns to get to us, but I like this flank as well, as I'm That Guy going to take down Foost. Kitsune Rush going to come out from Texas A&M as well. They want to try and play off the back of that win, though, with 2 to his name and a Terra Surge coming out as well. He might be able to trade this, as Foost actually coming back. And Foost didn't come back. The turrets are there finding the kills, and Ying's going to clean up 2 more, and Minnesota State able to hold on.
The dying breath of Foost Just the turrets will be able to finish off the job. Like you said, I liked the flank from I'm That Guy in double craze. They're almost preemptively waiting for the punch to come through from aim gods and trying to finish up on some of that damage without aim gods having to fully commit into the back line, but just didn't work out that time. I know Ying has the Kitsune Rush if they want to use it right away to try and match A&M White as they try and move in from White Room.
And yeah, coming in through White Room, that's a great place to toss that Kitsune Rush. So if Ying wants to pull the trigger on that any point in time, we're going to see aim gods going in real deep there with a punch. Not going to find what it's looking for. Kitsune Rush now back into White Room to try and catch the rest of aim god's team lacking while they're tanking it there to soak up all that damage. Deadeye as well from Vickery just to try and pressure them back. And Victus is holding on to his and didn't even need it to take down Double Craze. Sound Barrier now going to come out. Topaz doesn't have his quite yet, so can't quite answer, but it comes in just in the nick of time to save Invictus. And Tudu going to get taken down there by Wind. And now with the Photon Barrier coming out from Foos, the entire playing field is on Minnesota State Mavericks terms. And they did not come to play around this time around. Gardens goes decisively their way.
Yeah, Gardens 100-0 to the Mavericks, and they'll steal away map 1 from the Aggies. It really is the question there of, okay, can Minnesota State play a little bit spread out and not let A&M White close the gap? And we saw that on map 2, A&M were able to close the gap, and it was just domination. But maps 1 and 3, Mankato, they just they play their spacing. They back out like, hey, y'all can rotate and, go on these flanks and do whatever you want. We don't care. But when you get to actually where we are at, good luck. Because we have everybody here, instant pressure, instant fire from the entire team in Minnesota State, able to take map 1.
I do think mechanically, though, that Texas A&M are on the same level as Minnesota State.
Oh, yeah.
And if they had played Gardens a little bit differently, or sorry, not Gardens, if they had played Control Center a little bit differently, I think they actually do kind of take a chance to, punch up a little bit, pun intended, because it's Doomfist, and still be able to take the win on that one. Because, there was not one but 2 fights where I remember calling out, they're not playing for the choke at all. They're just letting the Orisa walk up onto the point and taking the fight there. But that's what the Orisa wants, right? She wants to brawl on the point. She doesn't care about the Doomfist punches. What you want as the Doomfist is to try and catch the backliners with the CC, separate the team, and draw aggro as they're trying to walk up to the point. And they did that masterfully on Night Market. Had they done the same things on Gardens, though, or not on Gardens, I keep wanting to talk about Gardens. If they had done that on Control Center, though, it would have been a different story, I feel.
Yeah, it definitely felt on Control Center, especially with the Torb turret, which they only ran on first round. They were like, okay, how do we want to play around this? Because obviously, Doom doesn't want to waste all of his single shots on that, right? Because you want to use those for the follow-up as soon as you land the punch, shot, hopefully you can finish it off in 1 or 2. But you don't want to waste those early on, so he was so reliant on the DPS to almost set up the attack for the Doom before the Doom actually went in. But Minnesota State were able to know, hey, they're breaking turret, they're about to go in, get ready, hold all your CC, and get ready to punish. So it was almost too coordinated, but purely because Minnesota State set it up that way to know when those attacks were going to come in from the Doomfist. But now they have the map pick advantage, so they can at least pick a map that opens up the floor for the Doomfist, even though now that Minnesota State knows that this is very much a Doomfist team, I wonder if that ban is going to be coming in pretty swiftly.
I think that'd be a good way to stack your dubs. You take the win on Lijiang Tower, and then you just add a little bit of salt in the wounds. Put them back up against the wall. Force Texas A&M to try and make a play in the 3rd round. But I kind of like that. But let's say you're Texas A&M, maybe Minnesota State don't ban the Doomfist. What do you ban to try and enable the Doomfist? Because you've already taken away the Zarya ban. You didn't really feel threatened by the Sombra, so maybe you're not too tempted to reach for that. Maybe it's just Cassidy, but I also kind of feel like your Cassidy was popping off, so maybe you don't want to take that off the field. What's the move there? You're kind of in a weird, sticky situation.
I wonder if there's been Orisa as a protect ban for the Doom, because you can't ban 2 tanks. So I wonder, if we ban the Orisa, take away something Minnesota State are comfortable with, and then you also protect the Doom ban for later on, maybe forcing hey, they can only ban the Doom once we win a map. And then, we'll worry about that later on and how they want to kind of pivot around. Nuke Reach, okay. I will say not a very popular pick, it seems like, in Push recently. I'm not sure why. I love the map.
Hmm.
But for whatever reason, a lot of people are picking Esperanza and especially Rinasapi as of late. Both of those have been being picked
I
all the
I
time.
I love New Queen Street, but I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm just a sucker for a snow map. Like
Yeah.
it's still push and it's still really good, but like I would be telling the boldest fib of my life if I wasn't just being like, no, Runasapi and Esperanza are just kind of like better maps. There's
Yeah.
more high ground that you can play. There's a little bit more back and forth. New Queen Street, the majority of it is just kind of like brawl, brawl, brawl until we get to those checkpoints, and then you have those windows on either side that you can put up a hit scan there and try and play for that. But it is a good map for like I'm kind of alluding to here, some long range hit scan alongside some of those brawls. You can bust out the Sojourn here, you can bust out the Freya. I think those actually might not be terrible options, especially if you want to try and reach for a Cassidy ban, or like you said, go for the Orisa. Try and take that out of the field. You know you're most likely going to be going up against the Zarya, but considering she's the flavor of the month, you're probably well practiced against that.
Yeah, consider how much Zarya's kind of re-entered the meta, especially with the perk changes and everything. I have a feeling they're used to it, and especially where you're playing this kind of Doom comp, as long as you're doing a great job of actually tracking the bubbles and like when they're being used, it can still be pretty easy to set up those pushes in. And the one thing with New Queen Street, it's very narrow on these chokes. So there's a lot of walls for where if you get punched by Doom, it's either if you have any sort of angle on it, you're going to hit a wall or a car or a lamppost. You're going to hit something on this map. So that's
Canada, you're probably going to find yourself in a Tim Hortons.
yes. Oh my God. Hey, there's what 2 years, 3 years since OW Owl in Toronto, where everybody was
Were you
like,
there?
yeah, yeah, it
Oh,
was. It's
we didn't hang out there.
yeah,
I
I
was there
know.
too. Like what?
Well, it was yeah. It's just weird to think that like, man, it was already 2 years ago that
I
Owl was laid to rest.
on the topic of Tim Hortons, like I remember there was one day, I think it was the third day, where I just like woke up early by myself. Like the rest of the people that I was sharing my Airbnb with were still asleep. I stopped by Tim Hortons for a donut and just stood outside of the venue, scarfing it down, and then Jaws and Custa like walked up to me and said hi, and I'm like, oh hey,
Oh,
like,
just let me finish this. Oh
like
my
I've never felt like
God.
such a slob in front of people that I had like we'd interacted online, but it's like I'm meeting you for the first time in person. Oh hey,
What's
let me
up?
just stuff my fat face real quick. Let me choke this down.
No, I remember when I went there with a few friends, and we are like, "Oh my God, it's Tim! We have to go to a Tim Hortons at some point." And we get there, and it was just like, we ordered our food, and I'm not sure why. It was just construction worker galore by the time we got there. We're just like, I guess we're just gonna eat on the way to the venue because there was nowhere you could sit. I'm like, I guess it's as popular as everyone says. It's cracked up to be, but decent food, I will say.
Did you did you also have poutine while you were there? Because that was another one
Yes.
of my must. Yes.
Yes.
People in the States don't understand poutine.
It's
I say that
so
as an
good.
Alaskan who has only had it a couple times, but every time I go to Canada, I'm like, I gotta get the poutine. I don't know why we're not putting gravy on fries down here, but they're doing it right up there in the Great White North.
Oh, it's so good. Like, as someone who lives in the Midwest, I love my wacky sides. Cheese curds, chili cheese fries, whatever it may be, right? So that's why. Okay, I'm a little like cautious about. I'm not sure what exactly this is going to be. Yeah, we scarfed that entire thing down. It was so good. But if you're gonna
It's
order it,
so
go to a
good.
bar. The bar ones are the best.
Mhm.
Don't go to like some fancy restaurant.
I think like in general, if you're looking for any of that kind of like greasy food, you got to go to a
Have
bar.
to go to a
Like
bar.
yeah, like bars sell like if you want the best burger in the world, you got to go to a bar. Like
Yes.
I used to I remember like growing up I used to do that too. Before I even turned 21, they were like, "Are you allowed to be in here?" I'm like, "I just want a burger. You don't have to serve me alcohol. I just heard you got the best beef in town and I want a bite." Like
Yeah. No, like you could be like, hey, I'm not looking for alcohol. I'm not gonna try and like do anything crazy. I just
I'm
want
trying to
your
get
fantastic
beef drunk
food.
tonight.
Yeah.
Like I don't just give me the meat sweats and I don't even need a
I
sip
want
of the booze.
I want to be in a food coma within an hour because of how good this burger is. We're still waiting on teams to kind of figure out what they want for bands as we kind of reminisce on Toronto. God, that is crazy. And now what? Stockholm is in just over a month, which
Yeah, yeah.
wild. I wish I had the money to go, but that's
I
not happening.
I'm kind of the same. I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm like, hey, anybody want to pay my ticket for me to go to Stockholm again? It was a blast last time. I got to hang out with some of the voice actors. Shout out to Brigitta's voice actor.
Hey.
Shout out to yeah, she is one of the sweetest people in the world. Also, Sombra's VA. You would expect like because Sombra's like such a mean, evil character that her VA might reflect that. No, she's like so sweet, so sweet. Shout out Carolina. She's so great.
Yeah, you would think like, oh, gonna be a little bit snarky, gonna be a little bit mean. It's like, no, she's just incredibly nice. I know I met JQ's voice actor, I think that was what, Anaheim, and she was the nicest person I've met. Like just laughing the whole way through. No, she was great. Everybody in the voice cast is fantastic.
She's on my list of ones that I have to say, which like if you know me, you know why.
Oh
because
yeah.
it's Junker Queen. Also in Stockholm was the first time that like they introduced Hazard and they introduced Connor, Hazard's VA.
Yeah.
And he's such a himbo. I adore him. He's so precious. I remember like I was there and Zoe asked him if he had like watched any anime in his life, and he was like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Hey, Yu-Gi-Oh!
In the thickest Scottish accent, and it cracked me up. I was like, that's the only anime he's ever watched. It's like, oh, you're so precious.
We need to bring this man some culture. But actually, okay, so here we go. Bans are in. Lucio is banned from A&M, so they don't protect the Doom, and right on cue, Minnesota State are not going to miss that opportunity, and they will take out the Doomfist right away. So the question, you know, pops up: what is the pivot here for Texas A&M White? And for the moment being, it is going to be this Zarya rush, but not really as much of a rush because you don't have the Lucio to really escort you in.
Yeah, the Zarya slow slog, and that's kind of why I like the Lucio ban coming out from Texas A&M, because they're like, all right, if we're not going to get to play Doomfist, and we know you're going to play a rush comp, you're going to play it very slowly. Mercy on the side of Minnesota State. Okay, so Mercy with the legs flank from Invictus. I don't know if I hate this.
I had a debate with a player from Northeastern the other day about this. So Soldier is unironically good, and I got proven wrong. I thought it wasn't great, but Topaz being left behind, that's not ideal.
Yeah, when I said child left behind, I mean Topaz, not the person that you were talking to that said Soldier is great. No, he had a good point, I'm sure, but Invictus not going to get the memo. Vickery going to be able to clean that one up, and Minnesota State's win condition seemingly already gutted.
Yeah, and Topaz me is like, oh man, really? You're on the Tracer? All right, I'll just go bring. Right? I at least have some sort of self-defense on that way, and then Invictus will give up on the Soldier experiment. So I respect it. You might as well go for it at least once. But now, as we already Texas A&M making their way towards that tick, the first real fight now that we have kind of the meme strat out of the way.
Boost already forced. Use the Wraith form at 30 HP. Does have the healing, getting some of those cookies from Topaz on the Brigitte, so able to stand their ground, at least for the time being. But deeply entrenched in the backlines is Vickery on this Tracer. Gonna have a mini health pack and gonna continue to pester Topaz. Good whip shot there. Ash comes out early, though, in the stick. Oh, that's so good from Vickery. The Considering Rush gonna come out as well from Toto. We're gonna see the Death Blossom, though, coming out from Fusto. Trades out, too. And Minnesota State, despite the theatrics from this heroic Tracer, are going to come out with the fight win and flip the bot around.
I got to give credit to Topaz. The amount of flails they hit just to keep Vickery away and kind of deny that immediate value. Yes, they end up getting pulse bombed, but they delay enough as now Invictus almost has to usher their Brig into the fight. Like, come on, let's try and shoo away this Tracer a little bit. We actually need you near the fight. Is that the Nerf? Oh my god, that is the Nerf gun skin. I love it.
I think Baptiste might have gotten one of the best Nerf gun skins. Yeah. Genji's also kind of up there. Like he's got the bat though, but maybe I'm That Guy's gun got nerfed a little bit too hard. Invictus, no such thing though, is going to be able to hit those headshots with a good old 45 special there. Double Craze trying to take this duel with the Hellfire Shotguns against Foost. Wraith form forced out early from Foost with the bubbles there to keep him alive. Invictus has fallen elsewhere, so we've managed to get a trade out here, but Minnesota State nearly have the barricade, matching Texas A&M's progress here. And there we go. Now it's going to be Minnesota State taking the lead and threatening to get this checkpoint here. Texas A&M have to try and make a move to shut this one down, but Wind is holding on to this Graviton Surge. You can see the gears turning. You can see him eyeballing that back line. But the Major's going to think twice about pulling the trigger on that one. Without Topaz, you're definitely going to want to hold on to that one now. You're happy to concede this fight.
Yeah, you could tell. Oh, they were looking for it, CB. They're like, come on. Almost like waiting for a lamp to drop just to make sure they can get something out of it. Nice little pick off there for the DPS of A&M White on the Foos, but they bubble Foosted, trying to see maybe they could build the Death Blossom to pair with the Grav, but just doesn't work out. But Tick is not achieved. So no forward spawns quite yet from Minnesota State. Mavericks and A&M White also just under 10 meters away from their own. Some very pivotal fights coming up.
Very close shave for victory there. Graviton Surge now coming out from Wind. Death Blossom isn't quite there for Boost, but it is there for Double Craze. Invictus, though, with a Deadeye, gonna be able to shut it down. Now Graviton traded the other way from Aim Gods. A 2K coming out, a little bit of Pulse Bomb damage to help aid that one along, and that should be Texas A&M winning this fight. It's gonna deal with Boost and his pesky little Wraith form. All right, yeah, that's right. Teleport away, you coward.
I say teleported, what, two centimeters in front of them just to stall a little bit longer. But yeah, beautiful Pulse Bomb grab combo from Aim Gods and Vickery. They get the tick, they get the lead, and now they can really start building it. If they win this next fight, it puts Minnesota State in a very tricky position, but they have no ultimates to do that. Minnesota State have two to try and find an answer back.
Teleport in for Foos, who's holding on to the Death Blossom. Might be looking for a good opportunity to use it. Kitsune Rush also popped as well. There's the Immortality Field, and that should be the go button for Foos. But honestly, now the Double Craze has been felled. You can see Texas A&M are on the back foot. You can try and play for a more power position. I like that. Just a quick little left click, and I'm that guy is down. Texas A&M gonna have to give it up. Minnesota State back in the driver's seat, at least for the time being.
Yeah, respawns, resets. So most of A&M White actually got those close spawns, so it'll be another quick fight here near the checkpoint. But the fact that you only use Kitsune Rush, not bad here for Minnesota State. Looking for maybe a bubble onto Foos to usher them in for this Death Blossom. But you gotta make sure you live first. Jesus.
Yeah, the damage trade's very much so not favoring Minnesota State, and Wind is going to fall early on. And crucially, this fight happening where it does denies the progress, denies Minnesota State from matching Texas A&M's progress. So they get to maintain the lead, deny those forward spawns, and now they're back in control. The pendulum swing back in their favor. Ooh, potential late stagger coming out onto Foos, but able to get away, stay alive for now.
And I think right now, if you're Texas A&M White, you're okay with this win a fight, lose a fight pattern, because you have the lead. Every single time you can try and get that bot at least to that checkpoint once again. You activate those advanced spawns so you can have a very early fight to try and keep the lead. But Lamp is forced. That could be the go button here for the Blossom.
Deadeye coming out. Pulse Bomb from Vickery goes wide. There is that Death Blossom. Is going to take down I'm That Guy. Not going to find all that much more than that, but the healing from Texas A&M is already gone completely. Minnesota State should be able to just run right over the last remnants of Texas A&M, and indeed they do. Going to be able to take the lead off the back of this one, and Texas A&M have no choice but to give this one up and try and play for next.
Yeah, advanced spawns achieved, and yeah, you would think they will get the lead here unless there is some miracle touch, but no, that TP up from Foos will make sure the lead swings back into the Mavericks' favor, and now A&M White, they're the ones on the back foot. They only have the Death Blossom of their own, maybe to pair with the ground, but now they gotta deal with the rush to the face.
That's good discipline to just wait for Texas A&M to drop off the high ground and then pop the Kitsune Rush. Wind holding on to this Graviton Surge as well, so once that Kitsune Rush is down, there will be a second opportunity to keep this fight going in their favor, but now if they have the lead, they're happy to just kind of bleed out the clock, play for positioning a little bit. They have a Graviton Surge on the other side to worry about. Aim Gods just yeets it in there. Double Craze is there with the Death Blossom, but is only going to be able to find one as the rally from Topaz going to keep Minnesota State up and running for the time being. But Vickery and Aim Gods on one side and the other going to melt Topaz down, scatter his ashes. It's going to be Texas A&M getting the dub here, regaining control of the bot. Only temporarily, as it was really scrappy, both sides taking heavy losses.
Yeah, it was just Foos and Vickery left and kind of staring at each other like, you're good, right? Like, we're good just to kind of back up. We don't really need to do a 1v1 right now. Spawns do get reset, but right now from Minnesota State, you're fine with that. You have plenty of time to reset. You have the Grav. ready to go, and everything from A&M White so far has really not been able to go that well, but that's a nice start.
Yeah, 2 tap ons and double craze as well. So Invictus going to trade that one out. Reapers on either side have been ditch dispatched. No one here fears the Reaper. Texas A&M not going to be able to take the lead, though, but they are threatening. They keep nudging that bot forward and forcing Minnesota State to try and play in real uncomfortable positions. And that whole stretch is going to be very uncomfortable when you got I'm That Guy shooting
shot
on down the window. Yeah, great shot coming out, taking down Invictus with a nice little heady there. And Victory on the flank, holding onto a pulse bomb here. Might be able to find a good pinch now. Bubble already forced out. Shield bash as well. The pulse bomb drops. Kitsune Rush now going to come out from To-Do. Graviton Surge catches 2, but the lamp is there. Wind can't quite burst on through it, especially with a Reaper in his face. And Double Craze going to take him down. And this should be Texas A&M finding the fight win here.
The bot does get moved more to back of the center of the map, so yes, it'll take some time for it to wrap all the way around, but a great fight there, and I'm That Guy. I wasn't sure about the window at first. It felt very defensive, but they did punish Invictus very quickly, who tried to get a little greedy and peek out right away. So advanced spawns go back activated for A&M White, but now it's the fight to try and keep the lead here for Minnesota State, and the Deadeye will be used to stall.
Good discipline, though, from Texas A&M. They could have tried to greed that and go for the lead, but instead they're just going to peel back. Fusto going to find a kill onto To-Do. We're going to have that Death Blossom now coming out, and the lamp ain't going to be enough to save you that time, and I'm That Guy is felled. And again, with no healing, Texas A&M, they can't withhold this any longer. Minnesota State should be able to get the bot back in their possession if Invictus can just deal with Victory wherever he is lurking. The game of cat and mouse will continue.
Yeah, just trying to wait to see when the Tracer tries to get out, and Victory eventually actually makes it up back towards the top of the map, and basically just gets reset. Ying looking for the Kitsune Rush could open this up, as that's really the only ultimate we're going to have early in this fight, unless Victory can land a pulse, ideally on the Topaz.
I'm That Guy is actually getting a lot of healing done, so there might actually be an Amp Matrix on the other side coming out, so there's options for Texas A&M, and Minnesota State definitely haven't tracked it. They definitely weren't tracking I'm That Guy with a headshot there to Foos, a lethal backliner there. He pops the Amp Matrix, but Victory with that pulse bomb going to take down Invictus. It gets traded out. Real bloody on both sides. The checkerboard in the kill feed, and Wind on a sliver of HP, trying to get the healing, trying to stay alive, is going to take down To-Do, but Ying is going to be felled as a consequence. Both Kitikos down, and with Victory coming out with the cleanup, Texas A&M might have just done it, as a matter of fact. It's overtime in Minnesota State. They don't really have a good opportunity to push this or contest this.
It's gonna be
a little bit more progress.
Foos just has to stall the grab onto Topaz as soon as they drop, but the shield blocks everything.
It's in midair. They're still able to get the contest going. The rally from Topaz should be able to keep Minnesota State in the fight, at least for the time being. Double Craze is going to get felled there by Foost, and we're on the razor's edge here of Texas A&M finding the win, but Minnesota State are clinging on. Deadeye now going to come out, and everybody has to vacate the premises. I'm That Guy is going to fall. A nice little double flash there to try and repel Victory, and he is going to be falling as well as Invictus with 2 at the end of that fight, and just barely Minnesota State Mavericks will hold on.
They barely hold on, and even though, yes, A&M White are able to win the previous fight, they're able to keep 2 of their top players alive. Just the fact that, hey, the spawns are so much closer for Minnesota State, and they had just a few more ults that were going to be lining up near the end of that stall. Made all the difference here, but that was, man, that was an absolute dogfight, especially those last, 2-3 minutes. Everybody was just throwing in any ultimate they built up in the moment. The Doom Band did work out pretty well, and I will say A&M's plan worked really well. It was just, again, that one final fight just could not put the pieces together. The grab onto the Brig. You wonder if they just tried to do that to keep them off of point, to try and get the lead, and it just was still in the contest range, and from there they just couldn't get the kills.
I think, the best way you can describe this matchup right now is a game of inches, like quite literally, especially on that push map, because we were a couple inches away from Texas A&M getting the dub there, and we're only like an inch or 2 away from the Brig not being able to contest mid-grab there with the rally, and if you're able to find the kill through that, a couple inches of HP is all that's separating you from victory. I think when the margins are that close, though, even after using the Doom Ban, I don't think that's a spirit breaker for Texas A&M, though. I feel like you're probably going to be pretty mad that you came so close and weren't able to close that map out. But you're also going to feel like No, we got this because we're gonna get our Doom back. We still have some momentum. We can swing this.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not over here for A&M. It's not like last series. It was like, okay, man, it just feels like Purdue is putting it on and on. Houston have no answers. A&M White actually had a lot of great answers, and now that they get the Doom back, the rest of the series, it really is open. It's just going to be, can they actually, counter the answers that so far, at least in map 1, Minnesota State were able to pull out.
Well, we will have to see, as we are going to be going to a real quick break before we have our third potential final map, but I suspect not, as I think Texas A&M might just have that dog in it. But there's only one way to find out, and that is to see you on the other side of this break. Chat, don't go anywhere.
Get through to me, but this kind of chemistry has me wondering when you're not around it. I was black and white. How come I'm not seeing in color? Lost without you, I can't make it through the night. How come I'm not seeing in color?
Welcome back from the break, gamers. We are 2 maps in to our final series of the day, and I think it's fair to say that in this one, Texas has been thoroughly messed with.
Yeah, usually you don't mess with Texas, but they've been messed around pretty good here by Minnesota from the north. As yeah, Mavericks up 2-0, looking for their first sweep of the season here in week 2. But again, very close map 2. We were talking about it like we have to go back in the replays later. Like how much that brig was touching point. It could not have been, bigger than a Snickers bar or something, right? Like it had to have
Yeah.
been maybe an inch at most. But sometimes, like you said earlier, it's a game of inches, or in this time, maybe an inch.
If that brig had trimmed her toenails, she would not would have been able to
Yeah.
touch. Like that's
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's how close it was. Like what you were one pedicure away from losing that map. And going forward, I don't know if you really feel as confident operating on those margins. And like I was saying at the end before we threw to break, that if you're Texas A&M, that's not a spirit breaking loss. Maybe if that had been like a map 3 kind of situation, but for map 2, you kind of just come out the other end of that like, okay, I'm mad. We're gonna double down now, and we're gonna go to Watch Point Gibraltar. And I think you and I probably could have seen this coming a mile away. We didn't talk about it, but like, come on.
Come on. It's they want to play dive, right? They want to try and move away from the rush, and they want to play Doom. Now that the Doom ban is gone, they're probably feeling on cloud 9 that the fact that they can just run it the rest of the way. This should, and on paper I'm going to put on air quotes, should be a fantastic map for them because it will allow them to just use the Doomfist however they want. But we also said that in the last series. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Houston get to play the Wrecking Ball. He can go all over the place. And yeah, it just did not work, right?
Well,
like she really got shut down on that map. So it could easily be, the same thing here as to where on paper it looks great. But Minnesota State could also have the perfect answer.
Well, in that situation though, that was very much so like Purdue kind of out mechanicking their contemporaries, and that it
Very
like
true.
I think from what I've seen, on a mechanical level, these two teams are very similar. I don't really think that there has been, I don't want to say there hasn't been a standout because there have definitely been some standout moments, but standout moments from both sides. So it's going to kind of come down to which of the two teams is better coached in either micro or macro, and as we go into something where dive is kind of the default for Watch Point Gibraltar, unless you're real creative, which
Yeah.
don't be.
Please don't.
Yeah, this is no place for creativity. You are going to play dive and you are going to like it. It's in a place where dive is essentially the default, it's going to your macro is really going to be challenged.
Yeah, like the only non-dive, like you occasionally see like the very end of third phase, or sometimes teams will like TP from top on the bridge with like a brawl tank, and I'm looking at you, UT Dallas, always with the hog pick and
Yeah.
TP right off spawn. But other than that, yeah, it's gonna be dive. We're either gonna see, the Winston, the Hazard, the Doomfist, definitely from A&M White. It's more the question of which tank does Minnesota State necessarily want to counter with. I would think either the Hazard or the Diva. The Winston could be a little tricky against the Doom.
Those are both very good options, and the reason why I kind of lean towards that, like when you said Hazard initially, I was already like half thinking that is that it depends on who you ask, but some people will say that Hazard is not actually a dive tank. He is a brawl tank. He kind of bridges the gap between the two.
A little bit,
He's like a brawl tank that is Gibraltarable. Like you can play him on Watch Point Gibraltar without trolling versus, like a Reinhardt, which if you do that in my lobby, I'll find you.
It's like instant avoid reports.
No, it's not. It's not avoid a report. It's I'm calling the FBI. I am trying to get old government contacts to locate you.
Yeah. Well, if the government wasn't shut down, they'd answer. But that's
okay.
You can't even answer the call.
That's why I got
right
Rhines
now.
in my lobbies these days. It's the government shutdown. I can't.
But no, it is in a very weird spot right now to where, okay, if you're going to run the rush, like the Hazard maybe is kind of like that mix. Like they have a lot, like you said, a lot of the brawly capabilities, but they have like a dive move set, right? It's almost like those weird dual typings in Pokemon where like, oh, they're like fighting fairy. What? All right, cool. They got this dual-sided nature to them. But we'll wait and see. I
You know,
would think it's probably the Hazard.
You know who's like the same side of that coin, but like on the other side, where it's like your brain says Brawl, but he actually has kind of played like Dive. And I've had this argument with so many people, is Mauga. Like, I was not a believer, but it was actually Got Moxie. She was the first one to kind of bring
Okay.
that to the fold. And then, like, after that, everyone else kind of caught on because it was the way that Koreans were playing it, kind of like a short range dive where you use the overrun and the stomp in the way that you would use like a Winston leap. It doesn't like it
You're
makes
not
sense when you
wrong.
it makes sense when you think of it like that if you're staging your teams for the stomp in the same way you would stage for a Winston leap. But you look at it and your brain's just like, no,
It's like, no,
no.
what do you mean? Like, he's
Well,
just like a giant man with machine guns that just runs at you. Like, what do
Yeah,
you
well,
mean?
there's nothing dive about that. Like, that's as brawl as it gets. But yeah, in terms of playstyle, that's kind of why I'm like, there's these weird kind of middle ground tanks that like Hazard and Mauga kind of occupy right now. And I think if you're a team that you want to play something more brawl favored and you're forced to play it on Watchpoint Gibraltar, like Hazard, I think is probably your best bet. But there's also a bit of a learning curve to tanks who haven't really played a whole
Yeah.
lot of Hazard. So you haven't practiced him, you might not exactly know. Like you might kind of take the bait and try and overcommit on dives with him.
Yeah, I will say I have to apologize to my ranked teammates these last few days. Been trying to play Hazard. Yikes. Like it's just you get punished so easily on Hazard if you don't know, how to play your spike guard, how to play, around the wall and everything else. If you don't know kind of the intricacies of that, you are going to get hard punished. And that is the opposite side of the coin is like, oh, if you're spike guarding, Doom can just punch you in the face, stop the guard. You could easily
Yeah.
get melted in a heartbeat. That is the other side of that coin. So I wonder how much of this map will be each tank trying to dive the other backline, or if, especially here for Minnesota State, do they try and play more counter dive? Like, where are we gonna really fit into that? And also, we'll see here in the second what the bans are. Kiriko, Freya are the bans. So whether it be, more of the Sojourn or Widow, Cassidy, how can you deal with those hit scans up on the high ground?
I do like the Freya ban. I'm not quite sure about her actual power level in the meta right now, like how strong she is. But I know that if there's one map where you can kind of see her pop off, Watchpoint Gibraltar. So
Yeah.
I don't hate that ban at all. Although I will say you haven't really seen a whole lot of Freya coming out from Texas A&M. So it might just kind of be sort of a safeguard thing. Actually, no, we flipped it around. We haven't seen a lot of Freya from either side.
Yeah. Is A&M actually not going to run the Doom? Interesting.
Well, it's
So
like, yeah.
we did all this setup of thinking they're going to play Doom. And instead for now, they will actually go on the Hazard. Wind will be on the Diva. So more, I would say, playing like either dive, going on a Toto or Hugh, or maybe a little more of the counter dive, anticipating that Doomfist. But now that Doomfist is off the table, you can tell Wind is like, okay, how exactly do we want to play this?
I mean, Hazard does kind of functionally play very similar to a Doomfist as well, so I kind of imagine Aim Gods will be relatively well practiced on this, and Hazard definitely better than Doomfist on this map as well. If you're Wind, though, and you're a Diva, you should probably be contesting high ground, but unfortunately, Texas A&M kind of just have you stuck in this corner right now. Playing off the Mega Health Pack, great place for a Sim to be, and a nice turret's going to be a good reposition for Minnesota State, but Aim God's going to fall, though, and finally, Minnesota State are going to be able to find something for this.
The fact that you see Victory go in, gets the Mega, and immediately gets out, like, I know it's not really going to matter, but I just want the Mega, and I don't want you to have it. So, yeah, you can tell with the Sim and everything, they were hard banking on the Doomfist, but honestly, it's still going to be rough. They can just bunker down here, even though that is a fantastic nade on a Wind, and you're basically forcing them to play inside of the room with the turrets.
Yeah, like, I don't hate the bunker composition, but it's just
No.
odd to see it with the Diva. Like, that's kind of the oddball sort of situation here, and they're actually not contesting the card any longer in here, so they're going to have to come out eventually, and not going to have a turret to do it. Invictus trades out Toto. Not a bad trade as well for Texas A&M. They should be able to get something off the back of this. Stick from Vickery as well, taking down Ying, so they'll get a little bit of cart progress off the back of it, even if it costs them everything.
Yeah, they'll get some car progress, and now at least, you don't have to worry about the Mavericks holding in that small room. The card has moved just enough away to make the difference. But yeah, this sim has worked out fantastic for Minnesota State already. Half of the time bank gone. Cart has yet to round that final corner, and now it'll be more of these turrets kind of around this final corner, going to try and punish Vickery and Double Craze as they try and position for some of these flanks, especially with the downpour ready to go.
Nice little teleport plays coming out from Foos to get the good repositioning here. Keep Texas A&M's head on a swivel, but they're going to have some ultimates coming into this next fight. A nano boost specifically, I think, is going to be the big thing to look out for. Where is that one going to go? Likely onto Aim Gods, I would imagine. Downpour going to come out, and there's the nano boost, cleaving Foos to lead in half before the sound barrier could ever come out to save his life. He's going to be wishing he was around a little bit longer. Ant Matrix coming out as well, but it's not the best place to be using an Ant Matrix. A very defensive Matrix in nature, but nevertheless, the damage coming out. Spike Guard from Aim God's going to soak it on up. Invictus is going to fall. The duplicate from Double Craze now going to expire as well, and a Photon Barrier from Foos as Minnesota State looking to try and stand their ground now. Double Craze is spelled. Texas A&M continuing the fight, taking down Wind. I don't know if the self-destruct got forced out there, but nevertheless, it's not going to be ringing out as we see now this rally coming out from the side of Texas A&M. Might be enough to get them the rest of the way forward. A little bit of a contest now going to come out from Foos, dropping in off the high ground. Immortality Field as well. Going to keep him alive, but the health bars on Minnesota State are looking very anemic, and Texas A&M are here to cut the cord.
Yeah, this should be a wrap here on the end of first phase, but
Oh, what a sleep.
quite a worthy stall coming in from Minnesota State, almost into OT, but it still will be going into second phase for Texas A&M White. Yeah, I think Wind tried to use self-destruct just to get back in mech, but got punished before they could even get out, before the bomb went off. And that was kind of the end-all, even though the Photon Barrier from Foos kind of delayed that push ever so slightly. And if you're A&M White, that's a fantastic fight. You still have Nano, you still have Pulse Bomb, you almost have Downpour, you have complete ult advantage, you only have to worry about maybe an Ant Matrix during the middle of this fight from Ying. This is easy snowball territory here for A&M White.
There is the nano boost coming out for Aim Gods, who's going to carve Invictus like a Thanksgiving turkey and spend the rest of that nano boost just pushing Cart the rest of the way. Hello, friends. The teleport plays have been very flashy so far, but it might have backfired as you've nearly given up the entirety of Hangar Phase. There will be a contest coming out from Minnesota State Mavericks, but now they are not at all in the position they want to be playing in. Double Craze happy to capitalize off of that, taking down Ying. Wind going to be demech'd here with some stray shots from Vickery, who's got the Pulse Bomb now and nobody there to swallow it up. Invictus has managed to find Double Craze there. Going to take down Vickery as well, and the hero play that Minnesota State needed at the last possible second does come through, and there's a beautiful parting shot as well. Guy's on fire, and not a moment too soon.
Yeah, we're right where the Mavericks needed it is. Yeah, it got a little tricky there. I'm looking at, we were both looking at this TP play like, I respect it, but the card's almost at the end of a Hanger already. But eventually able just to stall long enough for the hero play to begin. And now Invictus, Deadeye, they have to respect the Aim Gods, especially with the fact that Double Craze can just pop up, send some stickies as well. But Wind gets back in mech just in time.
Big nade, big spike wall coming out. Yeah, and the beat again is just too little too late. Sano's on about a sliver of HP. Rally going to be forced out from Hugh. Not a bad start for Texas A&M as Double Craze going to duplicate the Diva, trying to find some value off of this self-destruct. Photon Barrier is going to make it a little bit difficult, but potentially we get a remake kill, and indeed we squish Foos like a pancake right on the pavement there. Now Deadeye going to come out from Invictus to try and return the favor, but Aim God is there with the dukes up, with the blockers, not going to let the damage come through. Ant Matrix is also a little bit too late to try and parlay that into more damage, but Invictus don't need no damn window. He's got the damage, going to take down Double Craze, and Mavericks seemingly able to hold on yet again.
Seemingly, at least for now, even though I swear Todd and Hugh just don't die during these fights until the very end, but regardless, it just cannot seem to get over the finish line. Now, we got 5 seconds, CB. Nobody's even remotely close to touching.
Desperation nano boost coming out onto Double Craze on the Sombra, so the machine gun damage going to be real nice and amped up there. Does take down Foos, but the cavalry is there, going to take him down, and no more touching going to be coming out. No one else from Texas A&M is going to be able to make it, and the cart is going to be cut short just shy of that hangar capture. It's not a terrible win condition for either side. It's holdable, but it's also not great when your back's up against the wall.
Yeah, it's not the best here for Texas A&M White, but it is still a workable position. As we saw, like first phase, you can just hold and hold and hold for it feels like a millennium. So depending on what they're planning for here on the defense, whether it be more of this hazard that we weren't necessarily expecting going into this map, but you know, it hasn't been bad by any means from Aim Gods, or if they decide to go back over to the Doom Fist, either option is workable here. The sim, as much as they probably weren't expecting to see the hazard from A&M White, it did work, right? It got them around, especially at TP to Ying and Topaz out of some tricky positions. But on the offense, it can be a little bit harder to actually operate.
They kind of played Hanger Phase like an MC Escher painting. It was a marvelous thing to see, and it did waste a lot of Texas A&M's time, because like I'm looking at the KDs right now, and it's kind of, you know, kind of even on both sides. Like there's not really anything standing out here. We had Invictus with a couple pop-off moments, but for all those pop-off moments, there was also 5 deaths. So yeah, Minnesota State, you know, they're going to stick with this Symmetra. I don't hate it. You know, if it works, you might as well stick with it, especially if you can try and force Texas A&M to play in uncomfortable situations, or I don't want to say waste your time, because now that you're on the attack, you know, you have to have time on your side.
Yeah, you can't just play. They're like, oh, we can kind of rotate. We can leave car whenever we want. As they're almost, they're trying this bunker setup once again. And that's a TP back. They're trying to punish Vickery, but Vickery, they got all the blinks they could need. They get up, but already, this car is already all the way through Arch.
Yeah, like they wanted to try and go in with that wall from Aim Gods, but Win just slurps it up like rock candy, and they can't really play off the back of that, so they have to give up all this cart progress. And now Win trying to get Texas A&M off the high ground, saying, "Come down here and fight us, you cowards! Man to man, team to team, let's do it." In fact, the point A cap nearly coming through. We're nearly able to get the around the corner there. Big Nate gonna come out though from Toto. So Mavericks gonna be forced to back up. I like the discipline again. They just back up. Wait until the ante is gone, and then go for another teleport play. They've now taken server room for themselves.
And now they can just rotate over to high ground. They don't have to worry about cart being pushed all the way through this process, whether it be, you know, this far high ground, or they can just start rotating over to blue box, or just take the TP straight on for the Diva and force a drop down for everybody else.
Oh, the backline gets so split, though. Toto's all by himself down on the low ground, and Q still up on the high ground, but there's the sticky bombs coming out. Not a moment too soon from Double Craze. It's going to be traded out. You will take that, though, but you've lost Vickery. Yeah, touch needs to come through. It does not. Good shout.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts. Yeah, A&M White, you can see Aim Gods, they have the right intention. They're trying to go back and peel for Toto and Hugh, who are both getting dove in from Wind, and they do take out Wind, but at the cost of first point. And now A&M White are 40 meters away from being swept here by Minnesota State, because there's that one little mistake. And now the Mavericks, they can really stretch this out. They can just wait to pop all the ults at once, knowing they're one fight away from getting the job done.
And conversely, Texas A&M, they have to try and make the most of the ults they have without overspending. Nano Boost gonna come out. It's answered with an Ant Matrix, and so much damage coming through. 5-man firing squad through the window, and Aim Gods, even with the Nano Boost, isn't gonna be able to absorb all of that. So more cart progress is gonna come off the back of that. And your Texas A&M, you have to make a call now. You're down your tank. You don't have the downpour. You've got ultimates. How much are you willing to spend in order to wrangle this away, and what are you going to do for the next fight? Vickery goes in, does have the pulse bomb, is looking for an opportunity to use it. You have the Deadeye coming out for Invictus, though, again, trying to clear this high ground, and Aim God can't contest through this. Nearly had the kill shot there onto the back line. Hugh gonna be able to live to tell about it. Downpour comes out, but the photon barrier is gonna block a fair bit of it. Topaz falls, courtesy of Double Craze, off that Diva duplicate coming out. Boost with the photon barrier, the photon beam, charged all the way up, but Invictus is gonna fall as well, and Texas A&M, I think, might have done just enough to hold on.
They do just enough to hold on for now, but they use everything for it. But the positive is, Minnesota State, they try to get a little greedy instead of maybe trying to, you know, stretch their ultimates out a little bit. They also used everything, so we're back to a vanilla fight for at least the next fight or two, unless Toto pops another nano onto Aim God. So in a fight that could have easily went very wrong for A&M White, it honestly went pretty well.
I mean, but that's like best case scenario though for Texas A&M because
Yeah.
you're going to be banking
that's
on
not,
Minnesota
though.
State trying to make a couple of dry fights, but they come out ahead in this dry fight, taking down Double Crace early. Aim God's kind of left alone right now, has to try and absorb some of the damage, but just surrounded by sharks right now, feeling like he's in a piranha pit. The healing is going to be there now, but they have to give up so much space for it. And as the cart inches closer and closer to that box of victory, there has to be a contest. Victory's not going to be able to do it. Nanobu's coming out to Aim God, but he's played these games before, sees that Ant Matrix, knows we can't face tank all of that, has to try and go for the cleave through it. But all the damage coming through, he just gets melted down, turned to ash as Foos with the beam damage just too much to withstand. And Minnesota State Mavericks are going to be coming out with their first sweep of the season. Texas A&M were stalwart contenders. They bend, but they do in fact break.
Yeah, Minnesota State, just what an answer to obviously a team that it's very awkward sometimes with, going against these Doom comps, going against these Hazard comps. But they did just a fantastic job of playing around everything so perfectly and just sticking to their game plan. They did not allow A&M to run the script like they're probably used to with these kinds of special comps. It's a lot of adjusting from the other team normally. Not this time from the Mavericks. They continue just to play their style of Overwatch, and it worked to perfection, and now they're 2-0 on the season.
And up until map 3, I was gonna say, it ain't too flashy, it ain't too fancy, but then they're showing us some interesting sim tech, coming out with some of these CP plays.
Great.
It nearly backfired again. You can't get too ambitious with that, but again, like we see Texas A&M finally be able to break through it in cap point A, and as they go into hangar phase, it's so difficult for you to be able to take shuttle, which is the win condition for that point, especially as an attacking team. And they had an opportunity to snowball, but the sim TPs and Minnesota State just playing in these oddball positions just kind of forced like indecisiveness out of Texas A&M, and suddenly they can't execute on that win condition, and Minnesota State just, whittled down the clock to essentially nothing.
And it's the little mistakes, right? Like not touching point at the end of first phase. You wonder, how much longer could they have stalled that out? I don't think it would have made too grand of a difference here at the end. I think Minnesota State had it all covered, but it's the little things that I think Texas A&M White are going to be looking at here in practice and scrims over the next few weeks. Is I could easily see this being a playoff matchup once we get, into November, December. Could easily see this being a rematch. But Minnesota State, they're really entering themselves, into this maybe, top 25, top 30 conversation right now in the country with wins like this consistently. They've been bringing even top 20 teams to, map 4s, map 5s. This could be the semester that Minnesota State kind of break out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and of these two teams, they definitely appear to be the better coached team because, again, the way that they're playing the macro, and again, some mistakes coming out from Texas A&M that I think could be ironed out in the future and make for an absolute cracker of a game in a playoff situation. You see Texas A&M come back into their own. Maybe Minnesota State they've taken a couple hits along the way. Maybe they're a little battered, a little war torn coming into it, and it just turns into the dogfight that we thought we would see, and that we did in fact see on the first two maps.
Yeah, no, it was just all over the place. And again, it's legit one fight on New Queen Street. We could be in a completely different conversation. One or two fights in Lijiang, we could be in a completely different conversation. It was that close. Map 3, maybe on the attack, got a little away from A&M White. But honestly, overall, it was still very close. It is one of those 3-0s that feel like it could have easily been the other way around, given a few fights were just different. But Minnesota State, they're the ones that are ending up on top, and it's them and ISU Black right now on top of this division. And I'll have to see when they play, because that could be one of the greatest games of Div 2 this semester.
Well, unfortunately, Chad, it will not be happening today, as that is going to be the end of our show. And speaking of our show, let's give a quick little thanks to our sponsors, of course, Wenzel's Farm, Extron, and Buy Blue Light. Thank you for keeping the lights on, as it were. And be sure to come back around here to the NECC channel, because we got esports aplenty. Next week, we got Valorant on Monday. Marvel Rivals on Tuesday. I won't be there for that one, but my cohorts over on the Marvel Rivals broadcast will be. A week after that, you'll see me over there.
Yeah.
And we got Rocket League on Wednesday, Counter-Strike as well, and then League of Legends on Thursday, and then for Friday, you'll be seeing our bright smiling faces, or some other bright smiling faces, back here for Overwatch 2 yet again.
Yeah, no, we got just esports and more collegiate esports here at NECC. So make sure you drop a follow or subscribe if you're over on YouTube, and make sure that everything, write that down. Like, hey, every single night, if you're bored, there's always something going on over here at NECC.
Write that down. Yeah,
Write that down. Come on.
Yeah, put it on your calendar, on your whiteboard. Go watch NECC every night, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see you next time, chat. When you check your notes, we'll see you around. Don't go. Good night.